chapter 4 of the Mystics of Islam, Divine Love. Anyone acquainted, however slightly, with the mystical poetry of Islam must have remarked that the aspiration of the soul towards God is expressed, as a rule, in almost the same terms which might be used by an Oriental Anacreon or Herrick. The resemblance, indeed, is so often close that, unless we have some clue to the poet's intention, we are left in doubt as to his meaning. In some cases, perhaps the ambiguity serves an artistic purpose, as in the odes of Hafiz, but even when the poet is not deliberately keeping his readers suspended between earth and heaven, it is quite easy to mistake a mystical hymn for a drinking song or serenade. Just like we saw with the other chapter, perhaps the confusion with the teaching story and someone claiming to have received their own book of Revelation or something. Ibn al-Arabi, the greatest theosophist whom the Arabs have produced, found himself obliged to write a commentary on some of his poems in order to refute the scandalous charge that they were designed to celebrate the charms of his mistress. Here are a few lines. Oh, her beauty, the tender maid, its brilliance gives light like lamps to one traveling in the dark. She is a pearl hidden in a shell of hair as black as jet, a pearl for which thought dives and remains unceasingly in the deeps of that ocean. He who looks upon her deems her to be a gazelle of the sandhills because of her shapely neck and the loveliness of her gestures. It has been said that Sufis invented this figurative style as a mask for mysteries, which they desired to keep secret. That desire was natural in those who proudly claimed to possess an esoteric doctrine known only to themselves. Moreover, a plain statement of what they believed might have endangered their liberties, if not their lives. But apart from any such motives, the Sufis adopt the symbolic style because there is no other possible way of interpreting mystical experience. So little does knowledge of the infinite revealed in ecstatic vision need an artificial disguise that it cannot be communicated at all except through types and emblems drawn from the sensible world, which, imperfect as they are, may suggest and shadow forth a deeper meaning than appears on the surface. Gnostics, says Ibn al-Arabi, cannot impart their feelings to other men. They can only indicate them symbolically to those who have begun to experience the like. What kind of symbolism each mystic will prefer depends on his temperament and character. If he be a religious artist, spiritual poet, his ideas of reality are likely to clothe themselves instinctively in forms of beauty and glowing images of human love. To him, the rosy cheek of the beloved represents the divine essence, manifested through its attributes. Her dark curls signify the one veiled by the many. When he says, drink wine that it may set you free from yourself, he means lose your phenomenal self in the rapture of divine contemplation. I might fill pages with further examples. This erotic and bacchanalian symbolism is not, of course, peculiar to the mystical poetry of Islam, but nowhere else is it displayed so opulently and in such perfection. It has often been misunderstood by European critics one of whom even now can describe the ecstasies of the Sufis, as inspired partly by wine and strongly tinged with sensuality. Well, certainly you indulge with your emotions and your senses. It doesn't mean you have to, it doesn't mean that your actions are somehow whatever, As regard the whole body of Sufis, the charge is altogether false. No intelligent and unprejudiced student of the writings could have made it, and we ought to have been informed on what sort of evidence it is based. There are black sheep in every flock, and amongst the Sufis we find many hypocrites, debauchees, and drunkards, who bring discredit on the pure brethren. But it is just as unfair to judge Sufism in general by the excesses of these impostures as it would be to condemn all Christian mysticism on the ground that certain sects and individuals are immoral. God is the Sakti, cupbearer, and the wine. He knows what manner of love is mine, says Jalaluddin. Ibn al-Arabi declares that no religion is more sublime than a religion of love and longing for God. Love is the essence of all creeds. The true mystic welcomes it, whatever guise it may assume. My heart has become capable of every form. It is a pasture for gazelles, and a convent for Christian monks, and a temple for idols, and the pilgrims, Kaaba, and the tables of the Torah, and the book of Al-Quran. I follow the religion of love, whichever way his camels take. My religion and my faith is the true religion. We have a pattern in Bishr, a lover of Hind and her sister, in Qais and Lubna, Maya and Gailan. Commenting on the last verse, the poet writes, love, qua love, is one and the same reality to those Arab lovers and to me. But the objects of her love are different, for they loved a phenomenon, whereas I love the real. They are a pattern to us because God only afflicted them with love for human beings in order that he might show by means of them